Neural pathways and emotional regulation. Understanding trauma's impact. Emotional regulation is crucial for mental health and well-being, but trauma can significantly disrupt the neural pathways that govern this process. Understanding how trauma affects these pathways can provide valuable insights into the emotional challenges faced by trauma survivors. This video investigates the neural pathways involved in emotional regulation, discusses how they are affected by trauma, and highlights recent research on the connection between brain structure and emotional responses. The neural pathways of emotional regulation. Prefrontal cortex. The prefrontal cortex is responsible for executive functions such as decision-making, impulse control, and emotional regulation. It helps modulate emotional responses by integrating information from other brain regions and applying rational thought processes. The prefrontal cortex plays a key role in top-down regulation, where higher cognitive functions influence emotional and behavioral responses. Amygdala. The amygdala is the brain's emotional processing center, particularly involved in detecting and responding to threats. It plays a critical role in fear and anxiety responses. The amygdala's activity is regulated by the prefrontal cortex, which helps keep emotional reactions in check. The amygdala is involved in the rapid appraisal of emotional stimuli and the initiation of fight or flight responses. Hippocampus. The hippocampus is involved in memory formation and retrieval, particularly emotional memories. It works closely with the amygdala to process and store emotional experiences. The hippocampus provides contextual information that helps modulate emotional responses and contributes to the formation of coherent and integrated memory traces. Impact of trauma on emotional regulation. Heightened amygdala activity. Trauma can lead to hyperactivity in the amygdala, resulting in heightened fear and anxiety responses. This hyperactivity can make it challenging for individuals to regulate their emotions and can lead to persistent feelings of fear and hypervigilance. The overactive amygdala can dominate emotional processing, making it difficult for individuals to engage in rational thought and modulate their emotional reactions. Reduced prefrontal cortex function. Chronic stress and trauma can impair the functioning of the prefrontal cortex, reducing its ability to regulate emotional responses effectively. This impairment can lead to difficulties in decision-making, impulse control, and managing emotions. The reduced capacity of the prefrontal cortex to exert top-down control over the amygdala can result in increased emotional reactivity and diminished ability to employ coping strategies. Hippocampal dysfunction. As discussed in the previous chapter, trauma can reduce hippocampal volume and impair its function. This dysfunction can affect the processing and regulation of emotional memories, contributing to emotional dysregulation. The compromised hippocampus may struggle to provide accurate contextual information, leading to inappropriate or exaggerated emotional responses. Research on brain structure and emotional responses. Connectivity between brain regions. Recent research has highlighted the importance of connectivity between the prefrontal cortex, amygdala, and hippocampus in emotional regulation. Studies published in Science Daily and MedExpress have found that trauma can disrupt the neural pathways connecting these regions, leading to difficulties in regulating emotions. The integrity of these neural connections is essential for effective communication and coordination between brain regions involved in emotional processing. Neuroimaging studies. Neuroimaging studies have provided valuable insights into how trauma affects brain structure and function. For example, A study published in MedExpress found that individuals with PTSD had reduced connectivity between the prefrontal cortex and amygdala, leading to impaired emotional regulation. Another study highlighted in Science Daily observed that trauma survivors exhibited altered brain activity patterns, indicating changes in the neural mechanisms underlying emotional responses. These findings underscore the importance of targeting neural connectivity in therapeutic interventions. Case studies illustrate the impact of trauma on neural pathways and emotional regulation. One case involves a survivor of a violent assault who experienced heightened amygdala activity and reduced prefrontal cortex function. Through neurofeedback and cognitive behavioral therapy, the individual was able to improve emotional regulation and reduce anxiety symptoms. Another case involves a child who experienced chronic abuse and exhibited disrupted connectivity between the prefrontal cortex and amygdala. Trauma-focused therapy and mindfulness practices helped restore neural balance and enhance emotional regulation. Trauma can significantly impact the neural pathways involved in emotional regulation, leading to heightened fear responses, impaired decision-making, and difficulties in managing emotions. Understanding these mechanisms can help us appreciate the challenges faced by trauma survivors and the importance of targeted interventions to support emotional regulation and overall mental health. Ongoing research continues to shed light on the intricate relationship between brain structure and emotional responses, offering hope for effective treatments and recovery strategies. By addressing the neural underpinnings of emotional dysregulation, we can develop more effective and personalized approaches to trauma therapy